Not echoing, anything? All right, I'm going to call the meeting of the Halfmoon Township Board of Supervisors to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's meeting is filmed live on CNET and on the YouTube channel. Citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens with any comments for anything that's not on the agenda? Anyone? Okay. Next up, subdivision land development plans or conditional uses for public hearings. We have a letter from Mr. Maloney for a 60-day time extension request, or granting us a 60-day time extension. Do I have a motion to accept or deny the 60-day time extension letter?
The clarification is, this is for which particular item?
This is for the Half Moon Acres, the major subdivision.
And I move that we deny the request.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion passed. Next up, Half Moon Acres minor subdivision plan dated July 11th, 2022, expires to September 13th, 2022. We have a little bit of time to review this and get comments back. I believe the Planning Commission has not had a chance to take a look at this.
They did look at it last week at their meeting, and
Okay.
they tabled it due
All
to
right.
the outstanding comments and the fact there was still time remaining for review.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table the Half Moon Acres minor subdivision plan.
Okay, we have a motion to table it. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Next up, Half Moon Acres preliminary plan dated July 11th, 2022. This is for the larger subdivision plan on the mountain, the plan itself. Do I hear a motion to approve or deny the plan at this point?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny the Half Moon Acres preliminary subdivision plan.
I will second that
I have
motion.
a motion and a second. Included with that, do you want our planner to read off the reasons for denial?
Sure.
Just one moment here as I pull up the letter. So this is the eighth review of the letter that was eighth review of the plan that was conducted by staff on July 15th, 2022. So I'm going to go ahead and just list off the deficiencies that have been noted in that letter. The first is that a portion of the development includes a parcel that does not yet exist as shown on the plan. The applicant had submitted a minor subdivision plan to remedy that, but as the board has tabled that item due to the fact that it was not ready for action, the plan does not comply with section 215-12B1 and 2 of the Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance. It does not show the entirety of the property that is on which development is being proposed. The next item is that the sheet number 3 needs to provide the deed book and page numbers for all tax parcels that were added to the plan recently. Note 18 on sheet 3 indicates that water wells for lots 55 through 57 will need to be determined by the homeowner, whereas sheet 5 shows wells for these lots. They need to clarify that note. Sheet 21 has several references to estate lots 1 through 4. These lots appear to be neighborhood lots on the plan, and they need to clarify that. There are several phase lines shown on sheet 23, and it's unclear as the plan does not have numbered phases, so the purposes of those lines needs to be clarified. A component 2 sewage planning module has not been submitted to the township for the lots in the subdivision that will be utilizing on-lot septic. So at this time, it's unknown whether or not suitable on-lot septic sites exist for several of the lots shown on the plan. Depending on the outcome of that sewage planning, it's possible that those lots could change in their existence and/or configuration in any future proposal. A revised component 3 planning module, which is the module that is used to propose the community on-lot system, has not been submitted to the township to revise outstanding staff comments that were noted in staff reviews back in May of 2022. Per section 215-12C, an easement for the existing water source for the cottage on proposed lot 54 and for the private and shared driveways used to provide access to the country lot should be illustrated on the plan. The plan proposes development in phases. However, there was no phasing schedule provided on the phasing plan. Per section 215-8A1, prior to preliminary approval of the plan, the supervisors and developer need to enter into a written agreement specifying the sequence of development of sections or stages and the maximum time permitted the developer for final submission of the plan for each subsection and any other requirements or guarantees that are applicable to that particular development. The plan proposes locating the community sewage treatment facility on an adjacent tax parcel, 1724B, which is not identified as a property within the development, and information for the property is not provided. Since this property will contain improvements necessary for the proposed development, the parcel should also be included on the subject plan, including a signature block for the owner acknowledging that a portion of the property will be utilized for the proposed development. That's consistent with 215-12B of the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance. Section 215-19A states that all lots to be subdivided shall have a minimum of 2 suitable septic sites on each lot. Again, this is in relation to the country lots that are up on the hill that we have not received any sewage planning for, so we are not certain whether or not there is acceptable perk sites on those locations. Section 215-19B, sanitary sewage disposal. This is in relation to the community septic, community sewage systems, or other systems used by more than one family, business, enterprise, or any combination of such uses except as a home occupation shall require a written agreement guaranteeing maintenance of the system. A note in the deed and on each plat shall reference a separate recorded agreement for each connecting lot, which shall specify the responsibilities of each property owner or owners for the proper functioning and maintenance of the system and the provision to the township of any required surety. The plan should include notes demonstrating compliance with the requirements of option 1 of the neighborhood lot development option of the rural preservation design standards as detailed in section 215-24B4. At this point, there are no notes on the plan to demonstrate compliance with those requirements. Section 215-24F6 requires that open land free of all structures except historic buildings, stone walls, and structures related to permitted uses. The Township Board of Supervisors may grant approval of structures and improvements required for storm drainage, sewage treatment, water supply, and recreational facilities within the open land, provided that such facilities would not be detrimental to the open land. This is just simply a note that any storm drainage locations within the required open land would require Planning Commission and Board approval. Note 47 on sheet number 3 states that the existing cottage on proposed lot 54 will be served by a fire hydrant located within 750 feet. Staff was unable to locate a hydrant on the plan that meets the distancing requirements per the ordinance, which is 215-25 and 215-26. And finally, 215-12C, 12E, I apologize, requires the submission of a traffic impact study to Halfmoon Township for review. Per your traffic engineer, no such traffic study has been submitted at this time. And that is a conclusion of all the comments and deficiencies were outlined by staff.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Any further discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor of denying the plan signify by saying aye.
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 Plan denied. Next up, Halfmoon Acres Preliminary Plan, Component 3 Planning Module, dated April 22nd, 2022, expires on August 8th, 2022. Do I hear a motion to approve or deny the planning module?
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second? Move to approve or deny?
To deny.
To deny,
I
okay.
move to deny.
Motion to deny. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Ron seconds. Do you wish to have the planner read off the reasons for denial?
Yes.
Just a moment here as I pull
We'll give him a few seconds.
So this is based on both a local review, which was done by your former planner, Corey Rilk, as well as a regional level review, which I conducted for this plan. So I'll start with Mr. Rilk's letter. Question 3 on component 4A states that it requires the applicant to address, or the local planner to address whether or not the proposal is consistent with the use, development, and protection of water resources. At the time the review was completed, we were unable to answer that question as the proposed sewage treatment system had not been designed, and until additional documentation was received, we were unable to answer the question. Question number 5 on component 4A states, does this project propose encroachment, obstructions, or dams that will affect wetlands? The module does indicate that there are development activities proposed in and along wetlands located on the property. The encroachments haven't been documented on the plan, and so therefore staff was unable to answer that had been adequately addressed. Question 6 on component 4A asks whether or not any known historical or archaeological resources will be impacted. The module includes correspondence with the Pennsylvania Historic Museums Commission, but does not include a final evaluation. As I recall, the majority of the evaluation that was included, or information that was included, was from at least, I believe, about a decade ago. Once that final evaluation is provided, then the township would be able to determine whether or not any historic resources will be affected as required by the Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, Chapter 215-15B4. Question 11 on the component 4 module asks whether or not all applicable zoning approvals have been obtained. The proposed sewage treatment system is a conditional use within the agricultural zoning district and would require a conditional use proceeding per Township Code Chapter 255-62. Those procedures had not been initiated at the time that this review was completed by staff. Question 13 on the component 4A asks whether or not this proposal is consistent with the subdivision and land development ordinance. At that time, I do believe there were several waivers that were being requested. I don't believe those waivers are applicable anymore, so I'm not certain that that would still apply. However, there is a section in there as well, which we talked about during the plan, which is Chapter 215-19. All lots need to be subdivided shall have a minimum of 2 suitable septic sites on each lot. As the plot plan shows, there are several lots within the development that are not going to be served by the community system. Therefore, they would need to provide on-lot septic, and a module for those has not been submitted at this time. Let's see here. There's a few comments that I'm not going to read off as they were merely just clerical notes, just notes of things to keep in mind. Notes on sheets 9, 10, and 11 state that sewage planning for the country lots will take place in the future. This is not consistent with the provided project narrative. There are at least 1 or 2 comments related to this system being considered a community on-lot disposal system. At the time that this review was prepared, we had been told by DEP staff that it would be considered a community on-lot disposal system. Following the completion of this review, in discussion with the applicant's consultant, we did end up getting a different answer from the Department of Environmental Protection, so some of those comments, particularly 8 and 9, would no longer be applicable. I'm sorry, yes, 8 and 9, make sure I don't get lost here. The project narrative states that treated wastewater will be applied partially in Patton Township. The DEP should be consulted by the applicant to determine if the planning module will also require approval by Patton Township. Sheet 9 of the attached plot plan indicates that the proposed sewage treatment facility will be located in the middle of 550, and we believe that was an error. So the plot plan did not show an accurate location for the proposed system. And a private water system is proposed for the subdivision. The plot plan details the location of a water tank, but at the time it was prepared, it lacked any other information on the infrastructure for that system, so they were being requested to update the plot plan. I will look at my review that I conducted at the regional level to see if there's anything significantly different. I know that both myself and Mr. Rilk had very similar comments. So just one moment as I scroll through that and see if there's anything else that I should bring to the attention of the board. Plot plan needs to include labels for prime agricultural soils as required by the instructions for the module. Let's see here. So I believe that the majority of comments between myself and Mr. Rilk were very similar on the other items, such as the fact that we were unable to assess impacts to wetlands as it was not identified within the module. We had no way of identifying whether historic resources would be impacted as that information was not provided. An updated operations and maintenance agreement was in a draft form and needed to be updated to be consistent with proposed development. The operations and maintenance agreement did not reflect the development that was being proposed in its entirety. And then finally, the CRPA had recommended that the Halfmoon Township require the applicant to meet several sections of Pennsylvania Title 25, Section 71.72 related to escrow, surety for the operation of the system, and possible discussion about future ownership in terms of who would end up owning the facility. So that was just a recommendation. So that concludes all the comments that were in the CRPA's local and regional reviews of the module.
Thank you. Any other discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. All righty. That concludes Half Moon Acres. Next, we have the water waiver request. I'll let you give the staff recommendation.
Pull that up here. Had all the other.
I know I keep bombarding you with
That's
those.
okay. I had all the half.
It'll be
acre
quiet
things
after
pulled
this.
up, and I need to find that one here real fast. Just one moment, please. Okay, so I believe the board was provided with this already, but on May 26, 2022, Bruce Kirkpatrick and Gary Pate from Hallbaker Engineering attended the Board of Supervisors meeting on behalf of Bradley Barter and Tracy Wagner to present a potential subdivision request. Mr. Barter is the owner of tax parcel 1715F, containing 152.65 acres with approximately 50 acres in Worth Township. Halfmoon Township currently pays Mr. Barter for 106.25 acres under the lease. This property is currently within the Halfmoon Township Open Space Preservation Program, and Mr. Barter is proposing construction of a single-family residence on the property, but due to restrictions within the ordinance, he's unable to do so without subdividing up to 10% of the property. Mr. Barter could subdivide up to 10.6 acres to construct a single-family residence. So the applicants, or I'm sorry, the representatives of Hallbaker Engineering provided the following options for the board to consider. The first would be construction of one single-family residence without subdivision based on the original plan intent and ordinances in effect at the time of approval. Staff reviewed this option and determined that 10% of the property must be subdivided off the tract and removed from the program to build a single-family residence, which I do not believe would be possible. Is that correct, Amy?
No, they wouldn't be able to build a single-family residence
Correct.
without subdividing the 10%.
Thank you. Construction, the second option would be construction of one single-family residence without subdivision as a farm worker house. This really wouldn't be a farm worker house, so it's not something staff feels is appropriate. Termination of the lease itself does not qualify for reasoning of termination of lease specifications under the ordinance. And then the final one is subdivision of 10% This will require a waiver of the Saldo Section 215-18B1 that requires all lots to have direct access to a public street. Staff feels that if this waiver were to be approved, this would set a precedent and would make the remaining parcel a non-conforming lot without the construction of a public road. So the board had requested that staff review the options and provide a recommendation for consideration. Staff recommends that the fourth option is the best option, but does not recommend approving a waiver from public road standards. Landowner should subdivide 10% of the property of the acres located in Halfmoon Township and remove 10.6 acres from the open space preservation program to construct a single-family home and construct a public road to provide public road access to both lots.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
So there's no action required on this, is that correct? It's just informational at this point.
Yep.
Yeah,
Advisory
they
to
had
us.
asked,
No.
just
Right.
came and asked the board if they would consider any of the four options, and we're just providing that information.
Okay.
All right.
And we can send something to them then.
Next up, approval of the minutes from June 23rd, 2022. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes of June 23rd.
Ron makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Patty seconds. Any discussion by the board? Comments, questions? Hearing none. Call for the question. All those in favor of the minutes of June 23rd, 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Now we have the minutes of July 14th, 2022, regular board meeting.
I'll move that we approve the July 14th, 2022 minutes.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Patty seconds. Thank you. Any questions by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Okay, minutes approved. Consent agenda. Next up is to pay the consent agenda would be to approve the general fund bills in the amount of $4,211.19. Open Space Preservation Fund in the amount of $8,503.32. I guess that's all we got on that one. So, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Patty seconds. Any questions by the board? Discussion? Hearing none. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, we're going to take a brief executive session to discuss personnel, and shouldn't be more than 5 minutes, I wouldn't think, so we'll be right back. Yeah.
We forgot to approve the agenda at the beginning, so if you
What's
guys
that?
want, we forgot to approve the agenda at the beginning, if you want to do that.
Okay, we'll do that.
What did we forget?
We forgot to approve the agenda at the beginning, so
Oh, okay.
we're gonna do that first, and then we'll,
Well,
all right. We're gonna, actually, after the fact, approve the agenda for tonight. If everybody's okay with the agenda, I need a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved. Okay, we just had a executive session to discuss personnel, the results of which will probably be here in a minute. First up, action items, employee review evaluation forms.
Did you want me to make the motion now? for-
Might as well, we'll just go down the list as written.
Should I make the motion
Yeah.
for the rate change?
Well, we can do that. I don't know if that's on here or not.
Well, we come out of the executive session, so let's,
Okay.
I would like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve compression increase for Brett Laird from $19.74 per hour to $21 per hour effective July 28th, 2022.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion by the board? Any complaints from Mr. Laird? Okay, all those in favor of the compression pay increase signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, let's hit the employee forms. Keep running.
As you know, I've revised or created employee evaluation forms based somewhat on the same types of forms used to evaluate employees that Center Region Council of Governments uses. We took some of the information from that, modified it, tailored it to our use, and we now have evaluation forms for public works and laborers. We have forms for office staff, secretary, treasurer, manager, so when that time comes. So these are the actual evaluation forms that I've worked with staff. So we've come up with forms that I think are pretty good. I think the board has seen them. Everybody on the board has seen them. So I would like to make a motion to approve these employee review evaluation forms.
Okay, we got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I will second that motion.
Roseanne seconds. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Halfmoon Township Employee Manual is the next up. This would be a resolution 2022-20.
Yes, I've been working with the staff. I know others on the board have had input to make certain necessary revisions to the employee manual, and some at the behest of the staff. So the revisions were made, went through a process of editing, but I think every board member has seen it or has had an opportunity to see the personnel manual, and therefore I make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-20, resolution amending the Halfmoon Township Employee Manual.
Do I hear?
Second motion?
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion, or resolution 2022-20 approved. Okay, next up. This will be resolution 2022-21, intergovernmental cooperation agreement with Patton Township for zoning services.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Supervisors approve Resolution 2022-21, a resolution of Halfmoon Township, Center County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the entry into an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with Patton Township for zoning services.
Do I hear a second on the resolution?
I will second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Resolution 2022-21 for zoning services is hereby approved. Okay. Patton Township zoning officer agreement.
Mr. Chairman, oh, I'm sorry. Patty, go ahead.
Okay. I'll move that the Board of Supervisors approve the agreement with Patton Township for zoning services.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is second. Any discussion? There are none. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Okay, next up, review and release of request for proposals for an auditor. Do I hear a motion for an auditor?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that the Board of Supervisors approve to release the request for proposal for appointed auditing services.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Motion moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, go ahead and cut that loose, Brett. Permission to advertise fiscal year 2023 budget meeting dates. Do I hear a motion to do that?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Supervisors approve permission for staff to advertise the attached meeting dates with the meetings starting at 6 p.m. for the fiscal year 2023 budget.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. And Board of Supervisors meeting room chair replacement.
Okay, I got pricing to replace the worn out chairs in the meeting room here. They're pretty shot. And the chairs would be just like these.
You're looking for better chairs out there, too.
And we need enough chairs for the staff in the back, plus for the staff, the supervisors and staff for here. So it's 8 chairs, and it is $2,369.10.
Ron, it looks like it says 7 on this quote.
Oh, 7? I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It is 7.
Okay.
They're leather chairs, they're good quality, and it's a good quote from McCartney's, who is a CoStar's vendor, and so we get the necessary discounts for the purchases.
Good deal.
So I move that, well, I'm gonna let somebody else make the motion, since I got the quote.
Okay, then. I will move that the Board of Supervisors approve the purchase of 7 chairs for the meeting room at the quoted price of a total of $2,369.10.
Do I hear a second? Someone?
I'll second
Okay.
it. Keep this thing going.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Can we
Motion
take a
approved.
question from the audience?
Hmm?
Can we take a question from the
Here
audience?
we
I
can.
just had, in terms of counting, because you had mentioned with staff in the back and staff in front, I mean, but there's more than 7 chairs, like there's 9 chairs total, so are 2 still usable, is that what you're saying?
No, we're getting 7, there were 5 damaged ones.
Okay,
But we need,
they're not all damaged, that was my
right,
question.
no,
is
the
okay.
rest, most of the chairs
Some
here
are
that we're
still
sitting
Yeah,
at are
this one's
fine.
good.
Those are old vinyl, and they
Okay,
look horrible.
yeah, no, it's fine, I didn't see this one, yeah, no, I'm just doing a, calculation, I'm like, there's more
And
than
then,
7 chairs.
yeah, because we could have the planner, the solicitor, the engineer all up here at the same time. So, and then have enough chairs for CNET and our staff, so,
No, I'm good.
okay.
Okay. Department reports. Treasurer's report.
Just to keep it brief, as of the end of June, the township funds totaled $2.7 million in all of your funds. 1.3 being in the general fund.
So we're rich, right?
Not by today's standards, but we're well off.
Well off. Okay, that's all right.
That's the chair.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? Go to the tax collector's report.
Again, at this point with the county and municipal taxes, we're on the downside of that's only 15,000 was collected. You won't see much more than that as the year trends on. Most have been collected.
So 99% of it's in,
95-ish, yeah.
95-ish. Any question for the tax collector? Don't know that we have a building code zoning report, unless you have it, Amy.
Yeah, I do. It's just, we had 3 permits issued in June, one for an addition, one for a deck, and one for swimming pool.
Okay, very good. Budget report.
As of July 22nd, the general fund had a surplus of $354,372.42. And at this point, with most of your taxes coming in, your state funds will come in the September, October area. I look for it to almost balance itself out. You should stay roughly around that if things trend the way they should.
So far, so good. Balance sheet.
It was covered in the treasurer's report. There's
Okay.
about 1.3 in the
All right.
general.
Well, that was on here, so I figured
Yeah,
I'd
no,
ask.
not a
Didn't know if there
problem.
was anything special. Public Works report. Jim?
I'll take this one, yeah. Big thing, just so you're aware, we have no dates on delivery of the under drain pipe we need for some of those. Supplier won't commit, so they'll let us know when we can, so, on those drainage projects, so we can't give you any kind of date on that because we can't get what we need. And,
Still in short supply, I guess.
yeah, like I said, good thing, be thankful you don't have water company, cause they have worse issues.
Yeah, we got enough trouble.
I guess, as you can see, I mean, we were on the Paul's Lane project, that's down to some, seam sealing and doing the shoulder a little bit. We did some berm work this past week and try and do a little more next week and get started up in Toe Hill on that project, so.
All right.
Paving projects? Paving projects, do you want to just mention the paving projects that have been completed, or?
Well, Paul's Lane. Oh, you mean thought we already did that.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Well, I thought that was the other last meeting.
Okay.
Anyhow,
if you wanted to say anything about any other,
well, yeah, Orchard Road's done and
okay?
Dead Drive.
Thanks,
I
Jeff.
know what roads we paved.
Thank you.
Supervisors reports. Patty?
Like I said, my meetings were all at the beginning, so I gave my reports last
Okay.
time, except I don't know if there's anything we need to pull out from the general forum meeting.
Well, we might have to have a brief discussion on that anyways, just see how the board feels.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything action at this time, it was
No,
just
but if
informational
anybody has
on-
any concern, we'll get the reports out and then we can come back to that.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else?
Well, I wanted to give an update on the office progress.
Yep.
Furniture was installed yesterday and today. The private office door is delayed for probably a couple of weeks. And as soon as they get that, they'll install it and they'll finish up that private office. But the desks are in place. They cleaned up everything in there. We have the HVAC changes were made. The wireless access points are installed. We're preparing for a move. I guess tentatively it was August 10th. We're still trying to find out from Comcast if they can accommodate us. Is that
I
correct?
heard late this afternoon they can for the most part, so August 10th is good with them as well.
So we're shooting for August 10th to move the offices over here. And that requires some, data and phone moves and physical moves of files and some of the flat files for drawings and things. We're gonna have to get all that kind of stuff moved. We can keep what we don't use in that space because we have the space till the end of the year. There's the sign at 550 at the intersection where you turn off to come back Municipal Lane. We have to change that sign so that it indicates that our offices are now here. So that physical sign will be changed.
I guess we ought to put a sign in the window over there when we do leave, in case anybody pulls in.
And we'll have some kind of, and we'll make announcements too.
Okay.
So I think we have number of volunteers, myself included, to help physically move things. And I think it should be a pretty simple job. So, is there anything I missed? with regard to the office?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else?
I don't have any committee reports. I haven't attended, I think the last public safety meeting was canceled, and I haven't had a Lucy meeting for a while, so, and that's coming up next week, so I've got nothing else.
Okay. Patty?
At our next meeting, we'll be reviewing the program plan and the CIP. And Amy, I saw you put out, is that out on, you sent that out, the review document where we can put our comments in?
Mhm.
Is there one out, like on Dropbox or something where we can put, I mean, how are we planning to walk through that? Should we bring our own comments, and are we gonna pull one up, or we can put collective? Because we need to have a collective one that goes
I think that's
back.
how we've done that in the past, that you bring your comments with you and then you collectively agree on what that comment should be, and then we put it in one document that's sent
We're gonna do that in a work session?
at our next meeting.
Okay.
You have to have, yeah, your thing,
Okay.
look at them ahead of time. And also, the sections that say Parks and Rec and Fire, we don't need to fill those out. We'll
Right.
just put like,
Not applicable.
well, I think we'll put, yeah, not applicable. And then we should, from last year when we went over them, it's good to put not applicable. And then if we don't have any comment, we can say, you know, okay, or, because it was a little confusing when people just said no comment or didn't answer it. So we can just so we come up with a standard of how we answer ones we're okay with. And then we'll just have comments in the ones where we want to provide feedback. But there are, like I said, 2 big sections in there that we don't need to fill out because we don't participate in those.
Okay, we'll get that on the agenda for the next meeting then.
Mr. Chairman, there's a couple other things I wanted to report on. I was given the authority to get a proposal to do a roof inspection. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, so I plan to do that soon. The other thing is, I've been pursuing the tennis court repairs. I haven't heard anything, haven't seen any action. I called the contractor today. I haven't gotten a response yet, so I'll
Okay.
keep pursuing that. I hope that he responds. And
Since
can
we
get-
approved it,
Well, and we can get the job done.
Yep.
While the weather's still pretty decent.
well, we could
So-
still play tennis.
But it'll be, I mean, when it gets done, it'll be nice.
Yep,
I just hope it gets done. And soon.
okay. All right, we're gonna back up here, we're gonna talk about the Center Region Council of Governments. We had a Council of Governments meeting on Monday night, and Patty, maybe you're a little more up to speed on this than I am, but just, if you just wanna bring forward what we're discussing, we need to have a unified answer about how to handle the COG. The townships own the COG building, the COG owns the property, but the COG is also us.
What happened when they built the building, which I believe is now, 21, 22 years ago?
Yep.
That because COG is an entity, they had enough funds to purchase the land, but not to finance the building. So the townships all loaned COG the money, and our share was 3.94%. And then COG has paid interest or the payment back plus 5%. So that's been coming back to us as a credit on our COG payments. But in 2028, the lease will expire. And one thing the lease did not cover is how to handle what happens when the lease is done. What happens with the building. So they're trying to be proactive, and we've had a lot of consulting over the last 2 years with our attorney and also with the different municipalities. And the recommendation is that the building be turned to COG, because that was the intent. They borrowed the money from the townships to build it, because then, and we'll still have a percentage of that, but then the ownership of the land and the building is all one entity, so you don't have this issue. And plus the lease would have expired and everything would have been paid back with interest at that point. So in order to do that, they're just getting that all legally tied up, and then we would have at one of the general forum meetings, there would be a unit vote. So each township would vote, and you need an agreement from each township, with a majority of each township to pass the vote. So that's where we are. So when they feel that that is ready to bring to a vote, then that will happen. In the meantime, we are asked to provide any comments, ask any further questions that we may have, but I know that it's been worked on through facilities, through finance, and through the managers and COG for like the last 2 years. They've been looking at everything. Because, and also different municipalities had carried it different on their books, but that's pretty much all been straightened out, and ours was done correctly, so we were good. So, that's about all I have. Am I
That
missing
expired
anything, Dave?
2028, right?
2028.
Yeah. All right, well, nobody has anything else? Is there anything for the good and welfare of the community here? Anything anybody'd like to add? Hearing none, do we have any diversity, equity, and inclusion out there? So
Hi there.
I saw you on the thing, so.
I don't know if you could hear me.
I do.
We have nothing for this meeting, but we look forward to presenting information to you later on in the summer.
Okay.
So